Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Theory Thursdays. So, let's face it, everybody loves Primarchs, and some more than others. And with the recent announcement of the new Space Wolf box set, I thought it would be a good time to talk a bit about their Primarch Leman Russ, and what he could have been up to since his last sightings. But before we dive in, I'd just like to mention that if you like what I do here, and best thing to do to help me and this little channel of mine grow is just to like the video, just a little click. And also, if you enjoy what I do with the theory side of things as well, leave a comment with your thoughts on this kind of segment of videos, what you think about Russ. And if you're new, hello and welcome. Subscribe to the little buttons just down below. If you want to just click it, that would be massively appreciated. So with all of that YouTube rambling malarkey out of the way with, let's dive in and look at Leman Russ. So Leman Russ is the Primarch of the 6th Legion of the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Wolves, hailing from the frozen death world of Fenris. If you aren't aware of the Space Wolves, then they can simply be summarised as Vikings in space, and Russ is their king. Russ went by many other titles too. One of the most famous was the Emperor's Executioner, as he was not afraid, nor would he hesitate to fight another fellow Astartes. It stated that he had indeed fought against other Astartes even before the outbreak of the heresy, and it is rumoured that it could have been against one of the two missing legions. Leman Russ and his fellow Space Wolves fought ferociously during the Crusade and the Horus Heresy, appearing as savages at first, and then surprising their opponents with their hidden tactical brilliance. One of their most famous battles was against the Thousand Suns, with the burning of Prospero. The Space Wolves, alongside the Empress Custodes and Sisters of Silence, initially went to reprimand Magnus and bring him back to Terra to be trialed. However, Horus, who hadn't revealed his full intentions just yet, had sent someone to give Russ false information. Instead of ordering Magnus to be brought back, it was then changed for the Space Wolves to kill Magnus and his sons instead. Surprisingly, he didn't immediately jump to the chance to defeat one of his own brothers, and was initially hesitant. He tried to hail Magnus, but was ignored repeatedly, and eventually this meant that his anger took over and he commenced the battle. Now, most of us knows what happens afterwards. The Space Wolves and the Imperial forces decimated the Thousand Suns homeworld, but of course suffered massive casualties as well, that a lot of people tend to forget. Russ and Magnus fought in a brutal fight, which ended in Magnus teleporting himself and most of the surviving Thousand Suns with him into the warp, leaving Russ and his legion battered, yet victorious. It kind of, as Magnus did slip away before he could deliver the final killing blow. After this, the Space Wolves would have one more noteworthy engagement, when Russ's hatred got the better of him, and they charged out to kill Horus before he could get to Terra. He was able to slow them down and weaken the traitor Warmaster, but was sadly unsuccessful in defeating him. After the heresy, Russ and his sons returned to the homeworld of Fenris. It was there during a great feast that Russ was struck by visions, perhaps from the Emperor himself. He looked weary, yet determined, and set about selecting his most trusted sons to join him in a vital and perilous mission. He gave a great speech, telling them that he would return during the Wolf time, before the end of days, when his legion would need him the most. And then he took himself and a small company and went straight into the Eye of Terror and was never seen again. So, what could have been so vital and so important that Russ would leave most of his sons behind and venture into the hellish escape that is the warp? Well, one popular theory is that he is in search of the Tree of Life. This tree grows mystical fruits that have the power to cure illnesses, wounds, and bring individuals back to full vitality. His mission could therefore be to find the tree, take a few of its life-giving fruits, and bring them to the Emperor for him to be fully restored. Where the tree is currently is at anyone's guess, but I may have an idea of its location. The whereabouts of the Tree of Life is most likely known by Asia, the Eldari goddess of life. However, there's one small problem with that, as she is currently being shackled up in the realm of Papa Nurgle, as he feeds her the most foul concoctions imaginable. As she cannot truly die from poisons and toxins and heals herself before they can take full effect, it means that she is Nurgle's favourite test subject for his new and terrible plagues and diseases, effectively becoming an unkillable guinea pig. I think that the most likely location of the Tree of Life could also be within Nurgle's garden, and would also be heavily defended. Now let's say that Russ is able to find the Tree of Life from Asia, is able to escape Nurgle's realm, heads perhaps to the Exodite craft world, find the fruits, find the tree, escape, and then what? So most of you will be probably thinking he's going to head straight to the Emperor and give him the fruits, but I think that he would want to first, while he's out doing some fetch quests, that he's going to try and find a cure for the Wulfen. Now, the Wulfen is a mutation from the Canis Helix in the Space Wolves Astartes gene seed, and what it does is that it effectively turns them into werewolves, but it can go a lot further than that. It can actually turn them into massive wolf-like creatures. So I think that he's probably trying to find a way to reverse that. If not reverse, perhaps halt it as best he can. And then so upon finding this cure, he would be able to turn all the Wulfen back into regular Astartes, thus living up to the quota of there are no wolves on Fenris. That's a nice way to kind of tie that in a little bit. So, if Russ would return, it could lead to a huge shake-up in the storyline, especially if he makes it out with the fruits from the Tree of Life. Now, depending on the success that he had during his time in the Warp, he would probably head to Fenris first to most likely hold a great feast and start curing his brothers of the Wulfen. He's managed to find the curse. This is all hypothetical. So he's found the cure of the curse. He's going to head straight to his home planet first, meet up with all of his sons, hold a massive, mighty feast, and then he would rally a huge force and cut a path straight to Holy Terra to deliver the special life-giving fruit to his father. And while he's on Fenris, I imagine that there will be a beautiful scene where Russ is reunited with Bjorn the Fell-Handed. And this time, instead of leaving Bjorn behind like he did the first time he disappeared, he invites Bjorn to join him on this vital mission to head to the Emperor and to head to Holy Terra. And I think that'd be a really nice, beautiful thing, because Bjorn had felt not necessarily betrayed, but like he wasn't good enough to join Russ and the initial company that went into the Warp. And that had a bit of an effect on his emotional state. So I think having Russ come back and then bringing Bjorn along would be a real nice arc, a nice kind of closure to those two characters. So I imagine that the journey to Holy Terra would play out very similar to the story Flight of the Eisenstein, but much more brutal on both sides. If you haven't read it, it's a brilliant book within the Horus Heresy. I mean, there are loads of books to choose from, and it is kind of in the middle of the storyline, but I say in the middle, but you're skipping a lot of books anyway. But if you're not too bothered about that, then go ahead and read it. It's brilliant. So it'll be a lot more brutal. For one thing, Nurgle would want to throw everything as well as the mouldy, vomit-filled sink into stopping Russ from reaching Terra with the fruits. And on the Space Wolf side, obviously they're being boarded by Nurglings and all kinds of gross horrors. You would have Russ, the Wolf King himself, there with the best of the best, kicking Nurgle's forces right off their ship. As Russ is flying through the warp, word could get out from the Space Wars that their father has returned, and this word could reach the ears of Robute Guilliman. He would be delighted. I think he would be delighted at first to hear that another one of his brothers has returned, seemingly lost or dead, and would want to meet him, have a bit of a brotherly catch-up, and then, as Guilliman likes to do, bring out spreadsheets and some plans and try to direct his forces and Leman's forces to key zones. But then he finds out that he's only just jumped right back into the warp and he's on his way to the Imperial Palace. Bit of a classic Russ move, really. Now, how would the line react to Russ's return? Could there be another grudge match between the two, or perhaps would they be well past that and just are glad to have one another? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So that's my general thoughts on Leman Russ coming back, what he would get up to, and his impact, or at least his initial impact, on the story and the galaxy as it currently stands. Now, before I wrap up the video, I have heard rumours that Russ may possibly, perhaps, be returning sooner than we think, and is linked to the new War of Armageddon. I think it's the fourth war, the fifth War of Armageddon. I don't know why Games Workshop doesn't call it, like, you know, we've had 3 wars before. I don't know why they don't call it the fourth War for Armageddon. A little bit strange, but that's a subject for a different time. Now, I really don't think that he would return here of all places, as it would mean that he had returned from the war, potted about for a while, and then strolled over to Armageddon. I don't think he has any connection there at all, apart from maybe if he was there before Armageddon was called Armageddon. It was Ullanor back in the very early days of the Great Crusade. If I'm losing somebody there, then let me know in the comments if you want me to discuss about Ullanor and Armageddon and all that kind of awesome stuff, because there's a lot we could go into, but I think this video is running a little bit long as it is. So we all know that Russ is a man, well, a Primarch of action, and I think that he would primarily want to finish what he started before jumping into a war he's got no prior knowledge to. So I think that this is one rumour that we could probably just ignore, because it just doesn't make thematic sense for the general storyline and also Russ as a character to go to Armageddon. There's nothing there for him, so we can ignore that one. So let me know down in the comments below if you agree with my theory, and if you enjoy what I do, then don't forget just to click the little like button if you're new. Thanks for tagging along and making it all the way to the end, and you know what to do. If you haven't clicked it already, the subscribe button is right there. It's only 2 seconds away, not even that. So click it and it'll make me very, 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 very happy. And you know, welcome aboard to the Lynch Paints channel. And let me know in the comments down below, again, you know, what are your thoughts on Leman Russ coming back? Does it make sense? Does what I say make sense? And let me know if there's a character or a subject or something like that you want me to talk about next time. So with all that being said, thank you ever so much for watching. Stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you all next time.